Hello, John Talley here with Partzilla.com, and welcome back to our pit bike series on our 2006 Kawasaki KLX110. Now, as you can tell, we've already done a lot of work on this machine, and I thought I was finished with it. But guess what? I came in this morning, and she left me a little present on the table, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be one of two seals. It's either going to be the countershaft sprocket or the shift seal, so I went ahead and ordered both. So we're going to dive in and straighten this out to where she's ready to hit the track. So, let's go. All right, guys, before we dive into this project, I need to show you the part numbers that we're going to use to straighten this out. Now, you notice I've got both the output seal and the shift seal, but I'm also doing the circlip, which holds on that countershaft sprocket. When I installed it last time, it didn't really have a good bite, and now's my chance to straighten that out. Well, now that I've got my parts assembled, well, I'm going to go ahead and drain the oil, but you can actually just lay your machine a little bit on its side and pull that cover off. But give me a second to get that oil drained, and then we'll attack the cover. And if you're curious, the torque spec for this particular bolt is 21 foot-pounds. All right, guys, this cover is only held in by 3 8mm bolts. Now, you will notice when we pull it off, there's an inside metal bracket. I want to make sure you don't lose that. All right, there it is. That just lays in like that. So with our cover out of the way, let's go ahead and get this circlip, which we are going to replace it though, as I mentioned earlier. Now we're going to cheat a little bit here. Instead of pulling the chain all the way off, we're just going to pull the sprocket off right where it is and pull it out of the way and then lay the chain down. It's going to be a little tricky to get it back on there, but I think we can pull it off. There we go. All right, there's a couple of ways we can do this. We can try getting a pick tool around the edge, careful not to scratch the engine cases, and try to pop it out that way. If that doesn't work, then we can actually use a small drill bit and just a regular sheet metal screw, go into the seal itself, grab it with a pair of pliers, and pop it. Usually, I'm able to do it with just a pick tool. Well, let's see if this one wants to cooperate. Piece of cake. Now granted, this engine is relatively clean. If yours is not, go ahead and take the time before you pull the seal to get that cleaned up, because we don't want any dirt or mud or whatever is on the outside of your engine finding its way to the inside. All right, guys, before I just throw on another seal, I was looking at this collar and it's seen better days. So we're going to see if we can remove it off that countershaft and get it cleaned up a little bit, because if it's got a bunch of pitting in it, well, it'll just eat that new seal in just a matter of miles. So let's go ahead and pull it off to where I can really take a good look at it, see if I can clean it up, and then we'll get that collar back installed. Now when you're doing this, don't reach in too far and scar it, so you want to get it from the outside. All right, guys, I've seen worse. This one's really not in that bad a shape. Now granted, it's a little bit pitted and rusted on the outside, but that really doesn't matter. What we're interested in is this inner part where you can see that small line where it's been riding on the inside of that seal. That doesn't look bad. I can't really feel the edge, so I think we can just get this cleaned up and pop the original one back in there. But if yours looks worse than this, do yourself a favor and go ahead and replace it. Otherwise, like I said, it's just going to eat up that seal and start leaking almost immediately. So give me a couple of minutes to get this cleaned up, and then we'll get it reinstalled. All right, guys, I'm pleased enough. If it were pitted anymore, I'd go ahead and replace it, but it still feels good. But to give it a little bit of an advantage, we're going to put just a little bit of grease around the inside and the outside, and then reinstall it. Now when you pull this, one other thing I want to point out is that there's a small O-ring right on the inside. Make sure it's still there, which mine is. Now we can go ahead and reinstall our collar. All right guys, let's go ahead and put our new seal on. We're going to go ahead and put it up by hand, just make sure this edge goes toward the inside, doesn't get folded back. And the real trick here is to find a socket or a driver that's going to leave the seal even with the engine cases. Otherwise, it's really easy to push it too far and then, well, you're in a mess. So we're going to use a socket that goes to the outside edge and should stop it short of going on the inside. That is it. I'm happy. All right guys, now we're just going to get the sprocket back on. It can be a little bit tricky because you got to be dead on it to get the sprocket to go onto the splines. So give me a minute and we'll get that reinstalled. That should do it. There we go. Next, we're going to put on our circlip. And what you want to be sure of is when they press these, when they construct them, there'll be a rounded edge and a sharp edge. And you want the sharp edge to face out. So you need to find that with your finger. That's the rounded edge. And that's going to be the sharper edge. Get it to snap in. There you go. That's it. One down, one to go. All right guys, we're just about to remove the shifter, but to make sure I've got it in the same place, I'm going to mark it. Now this is an aftermarket one, so yours will be a little bit different. Mine just uses a 5mm Allen. Memory serves. On the factory Kawasaki shifter, I think it's a 10mm, but operates the same way. All right guys, let's get that slid off real quick. There we go. Good to go. Now, same trick, we're just gonna get that cleaned up a little bit because it does look dirty, and then we'll get it pulled out. I'll go ahead and tell you, this one's gonna be a little bit tougher because it has a metal surround on it. So maybe a little bit tougher to pick this one out. We'll try it with the picks. If not, then we're gonna get out the drill bits and see if we can pop it that way. We'll try it with the picks first and then step up a notch if necessary. All right, what we're gonna do is drill right there very carefully, then put in a screw and then pull. Tell you what, we're going to put a punch mark on it. Make it easier to hit. All right, take a deep breath and careful. That one walked on me, so we're going to try it again a little bit lower. Be patient here, guys. All right. That is so narrow, the screw's not going to let it catch it. But now that we've got a gap to get a screwdriver in, we should be able to pry it out. Come on, baby. There you go. Well, guys, that's not the way they show it in the textbook, if there was one. But we got it. And fortunately, did not damage the surface on the inside. And I galled it a little bit right here, prying against it. But the important part is in here, and all that looks fine. All right, guys, that wasn't exactly the most graceful extraction I've ever done. With that, it's such a narrow edge to get a drill bit and then a screw in there. It was probably pushing out on it, and that's why I didn't want to release. But once I got a hole in there, I was able to get the screwdriver in, then pry it out. Once again, not graceful, but it got done. Just be very careful. You can do whatever you need to do to this, but what you can't screw up is the engine case. So just take your time, be careful, and it will come out. All right, guys, to get this tapped back in there, I'm a little bit off axis because I've got aftermarket foot pegs. So give me just a couple of minutes, drop this out. That way I've got a straight shot to get that new one in. Because the last thing I want to do at this point is tweak it, just trying to install it. Matter of fact, I think we can just take out the bolts on this side and just let it hang down a little bit, just where I can get a straight shot in there. There we go. All right, guys, let's get our new seal pushed back on. And when you're doing this, you need to make very sure that it's going in evenly. The last thing you want to have happen is have it try to walk one way or another. So take your time when you're doing this. That should be it. All right, guys, the battle's pretty much over. All we need to do, remount our pegs, get our shifter back on there, and then put on that cover, and then we're done. Well, all right, guys, that's going to wrap up this little project. Well, listen, if you need any parts for your machine, why don't you come see us at Partzilla.com and we can get you taken care of. If you have any questions or comments about this video, leave them in the section below and I'll do my best to answer them. And hey, if you like what you see, why don't you go ahead and hit that subscribe button along with that notification bell. That way you'll know whatever I'm working on next. We just want to say thank you for shopping here with us at Partzilla, and we will see you in the next video. Y'all have a great day.